So this is the single largest issue which I see going forward, not only in India but worldwide.
Yeah.
Uh, just to give you certain stats so that you know, so that we know what we are dealing with. Uh, in 2009, among the companies, and I'm talking about globally now, not
Yeah.
India, globally, in terms of market capitalization, only one tech company was there out of top 10. This is 2009, which was
Yeah.
Microsoft.
Yes.
We are in 2018. Out of the top 10 companies, seven are technology based companies. You
Yeah.
have Google, you have Facebook, you have
Apple, Amazon,
Apple, Amazon. Am I
Facebook.
missing some? Yes. So
The top
every,
five that we call the
yeah.
magic circle.
So which is called the big tech, etc.
Yeah.
Now, I've read through some literature, etc. One thing which I find, and there's a lot of reports. So
Yeah.
recently, the UK authority came out with a report of their authority came out with a report on 1st July on
Yes.
this online advertising, etc. That there are various reports all across, and everybody is grappling with the problem. So much so, the UK CMA, the Competition and Market Authority, which is parameter to the Competition Commission of India, has essentially said that sorry, the present rules are not sufficient to deal with this. Obviously, being a lawyer myself, I would say our law is sufficient enough to deal with it. I do not agree with that finding of the report, and I'll come to it uh, when we are discussing this point. But the point is, the why one of the reasons why I always fail to appreciate is that how did they become so big without being checked? It is because the traditional, if say suppose I open a business and anybody opens a business, or the traditional norms of doing a business is I sell a product or a service and I get something in return. That's a contractual principle. You sell, you get money in return. These people, that is the Googles of the world, while they are highly innovative, they are highly much ahead of the curve, etc. If you search on Google, you don't have to pay. If you open up an account on Facebook, you don't have to pay.
Absolutely.
So to that extent, whenever demand is zero, there will be more people coming in. So even the traditional norms of investment have gone for a toss. If nobody sees how much is your profitability which before I pump in money, they'll see what is your network. The idea has gone from creating a vast network to so from profitability to creating a vast network. But if it is for free, consumers are happy, so nobody complains. The authorities have also been slightly lax, for a lack of a better word, in checking their behavior. So they have become so big, and as there's a common saying, uh, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So now people are wondering, now that Google and Facebook have become so big, how do I regulate them? Because like the principle of competition law is being big is not bad, but I
Yeah.
need to regulate their conduct. How do I regulate their conduct so that they keep on innovating? They do not take their counterparties for a ride. Just as a statistic, Google and Facebook do a lot of advertising. This is called digital advertising.
Yeah.
And this, so I read through a lot of literature. I'm just taking some instances which we can relate to. There's just so much literature on this point. Even the regulators are grappling to on this. So coming back to digital advertising, the market in India right now is 200 billion rupees, or is it 2000 billion rupees?
2000, I'm
Sorry,
sure.
yeah.
2000.
And in the 2015, it was only 40 billion. So this is the amount that they have gone so high. So they have grown so exponentially.
Aggressive growth, as we call it.
Yes, aggressive growth.
Yeah.
Now, even digital advertising, as per the UK report and all the literatures, are different. One is search advertising, one is display advertising. Search advertising is essentially that you want to buy, say, best speakers under 1,000. You press on Google, certain
Yeah.
advertisements will come. So that is search. I'm searching for a definite thing, and search advertising comes. Display advertising is what you see when you just for a layman's example, when you drive by the road, you have those banners.
Yeah.
You may or may not require those banners, but the brand is there. So you may not want to buy a house, but you will have, say, a JP board that come to sector 62, you can buy a property. You're increasing the brand awareness. What the CMA report has found, this is obviously UK. India, obviously, somebody has to do a market survey. Google is extremely dominant in search advertising. Facebook is dominant in display advertising. So much so, now how do I advertise? Somebody has to advertise. Demand is, from a consumer standpoint, consumer is not paying anything because it's zero. The suppliers of these advertisements who want to advertise their products on a Google or a Facebook are paying. So there is an agreement between a supplier and Google and Facebook respectively, which is known as an intermediation agreement. You have those Google AdWords, for example. There's the problem. And CCI is looking at this issue as to whether that is an abuse of dominance in itself. How are those agreements being structured? EU has already found them in guilty. Now we have to see whether in India, what is the investigation going forward. Statistically, again, but in the sense why I'm throwing statistics now is so relevant because at the end of the day, like I said, it's a market driven law. While I would say that Google, everything is free because I'm searching at free, but the revenue per search for them has more than doubled since 2011. And for Facebook, for creating an account, the revenue that they get in 2011 was £5. Obviously, this is an UK report. So India, we have to check. Right now, it's £50 per user in 2019. So imagine the growth. So number of users have grown up exponentially. The revenue per user have gone up by 10 times. How do they get the revenue? From the advertisers,
Yeah.
people who advertise. So you and me, today, if we want to advertise our products on Google, that's where we'll get the entire issue.
Yeah.
Then obviously, if you buy an Apple phone, so then it struck me as to then we were doing this. So this a colleague of mine told me. I'll just show you one more thing because the shares. Sorry, just
But also, I think these tech companies have their biggest supporters in the consumers themselves.
yes.
Like the
So
competition is being impacted, no doubt. But their biggest support comes from their huge user and consumer base. So if they start monetizing their services right now, the first section of and like the first set of entities that will get affected would be the consumers, and that is something that I guess even we would not tolerate. Like, how do you actually balance those interests?
yeah, so see, these are the issues which are there. So there are
Yeah.
certain issues. So have you ever thought as to when you buy an Android phone,
Yes.
why is Google always the default browser?
Absolutely, I completely agree with you on that.
So that means there is an agreement between Google and Apple.
Yeah, like
Imagine two huge tech companies having an agreement.
yeah, if it's an iOS, yeah.
So which is, and also I'm just having some technical problem. I wanted to show you something else also. Unluckily, I'm not able to show you because so I will stop share because there's some Wi-Fi issues with my place. But do this exercise. If you type on Google that I want to buy best speakers or anything below say 10,000 rupees, there's a tab which comes for shopping.
Yeah,
So you click on those tabs, a tab will come which will show, say, for example, speakers A, JBL, etc. Those are sold by Amazon or on Amazon site, for example. Let's not go sold into Amazon because then it's another issue altogether.
yeah,
You click on that, you are redirected to the Amazon site, which essentially means that there has to be an agreement between Amazon and Google to list their products on Google Shopping. Because the principle is why I came to this is because I was thinking, why is Google so big in search advertising? Because if I want to say, I can understand if I want knowledge. So, for example, I want to actually read on competition law and big data, for example. I go on Google, Google will throw up its search results. But if I want to buy speakers, I'll go to Amazon's website. Why will I type on Google? So Amazon is also giving all those search options, etc. Then I was doing much. Obviously, this is just my limited research. We need to research more. Amazon is catering to another kind of consumers where you actually want to buy and sell stuff. But Amazon itself is being listed on Google. So that basically means that Google, although they are catering to the same consumer, for example, but in a different capacity. One is as a search capacity, one is at a buying capacity or a selling capacity. And Amazon has listed their products on Google Shopping. That means there has to be an agreement between Amazon and Google. So to that extent, there must be an agreement, which again, so these are the things which needs to be investigated. There's already an investigation on Google default browsers, for example, on phone. This is the Apple case, which are there. Then obviously another issue which comes up is how did they become so big is essentially because they had their slew of acquisitions, because they acquire periodically from time to time companies which unfortunately fall within that below the radar of thresholds. So that's why they have become so big. There's no authority which has gone and checked them. I always believe law has to be adaptive in nature, has cannot be reactive, especially a market-driven law. It cannot be reactive, while you cannot be proactive because you will always be behind the curve as far as tech is concerned. You can't be too reactive, and you have to apply your existing law to see whether there is sufficient scope to cater to this. So you would know, Shweta, that there's a lot of clamor among the committee that to reduce the thresholds for tech or for pharma, for quote unquote killer acquisitions, for example. I
Yes.
ask myself the question, yes, it should be done, it should not be done. But under our Section 3, which is not there in Article 101 or Section 2 of the Enterprise Act of 1988 of UK, our law under Section 3, there is a word of acquisition, which is not there in other laws. So why can't, as a regulator, we be slightly nimble and proactive and say we can also look at acquisition agreements under Section 3? Let that be challenged. That's a different thing. There will be challenges to that. But as a regulator, I need to assume jurisdiction on certain things. I cannot let it become so big because of a lacuna in the law, which by the mischief rule of interpretation, or we call the golden rule of interpretation, can be brought in. Obviously, if it cannot be brought in, you cannot do it. That is an excess of jurisdiction. But if it can be brought in, why not? So these are the kind, and obviously then there's this another debate on e-commerce, which
Yeah.
is in itself a debate which I have spoken a lot and I'm personally invested because I'm representing one of the parties there. So I'll not go much deep into that. But having said that, this is another point as to while I will keep it short on platform neutrality.
Yeah.
Can a platform act as a both as a marketplace and as a preferential treatment to certain suppliers? So much so, if you read the newspapers right now, I do not know what will happen in the future when it actually comes. You have the UK CMA saying that our law is not enough, so please come out with new laws and regulations.
Absolutely.
Under the draft e-commerce policy, obviously it's newspaper reports. They have also said we need a new regulator, which will
Yeah.
decide fair competition issues. Which essentially let us see the draft, obviously, because there will be data localization issues which are there, which I am not an expert to speak on. But these are the things which will come. Now, even if it comes, for example, let's go one step forward. Let's say, even if it comes, who will understand them? So you have market survey report, market search report, or whatever it's called, market study report, sorry, on e-commerce. They say that you have to make the terms and algorithms available, for example.
Yeah.
I can't understand algorithms. Most of the people can. I'm not a technical person. In fact, so much so a noted economist, competition law economist, Richard Posner, recently said that even if they make it available, who will understand that? So,
Absolutely.
which essentially means the regulator, whether it be a competition regulator or an e-commerce regulator or any regulator, the court should understand that. And how will the court understand that is when you hire experts. So these are the and this is the least I can say. So there are so many theories which are going on. I think Manish has also written something on this.
He has a very interesting question on this. Yeah, he's asking that there's an article titled as the Amazon Paradox by Lena M. Khan. What are your views on the concepts given in that, which counters the theory of Chicago School?
So I am, to be honest, Manish, pardon my ignorance on this. If I don't know something, I'll not beat around the bush. But I know of certain articles. Maybe this is the article that you're referring to, which I remember one gentleman telling me, and I want to get hold of this article. He says Amazon has this theory of creating a new normal, which
Yeah,
essentially says that today, leave the law. The law is inadequate. So I will take so much data and I will make targeted advertisements. I'll create a paradox where you see the law on my practice as on today, but not as the law which was supposed to be there, which was supposed to contain such behavior. So they say that you read or analyze my practices from today, which is a new normal. Obviously, new normal right now is a lot of things are new normal. But having said that, this is so that's how Amazon got busted in EU based on this book which somebody has done. I don't know the books. I'll read and maybe somebody if they can help me with the title. It's actually called Amazon's New Normal, or maybe it's not the title of that book. Maybe they're dealing with it in the as a book, as they say. So they say that this is the new normal, which unfortunately is the case with all the big tech companies
yeah,
or whatever big data companies, as you would call it. You won't imagine the biggest abuse that they have said in the CMA is use of personal data and fake news.
yeah.
Use of personal data, yes, it's a data privacy issue. But why can't it be a competition law issue? The reason why I say it is because, say, suppose I'm big, I'm dominant player. If I use somebody's personal data to my advantage, why can't I bring an action against 4-1? Why has the CCI said that 4-2 is an exhaustive list? If it were an enumerative list, like the EU has said, then I can bring a data privacy issue by a big company under 4-1 also. So these are the kind of nimble kind of approach that you have to see, because the traditional norms of entry barriers does not apply here. It applies network. You create a network. Why do advertiser advertise on Google despite these terms? Is because you will get a lot of consumers. So it's a
The
positive
payoff
loop.
is great.
A
The
loop is
payoff
created.
is
It's
much.
called, yes, it's called a positive loop, which is there. If a loop is created, good. You are innovative. There's no doubt Google is innovative. There's no doubt Facebook is innovative. But then, like I said, being big is not bad. But I need to. My law should be enough to regulate your conduct when you fall into the black line and not operate in the gray or the white.
Basically, it work function in such a manner that you will make sure nobody has the strength to even compete with your, for that matter, even enter the market because you
Yes,
have become that big.
yes.